How can I turn challenges into creative opportunities? Okay, yeah. How can I turn challenges into the creative opportunity? What exactly is this thing? Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So let me tell you one thing about the challenges and creative opportunity. All right, yeah. So what is actually the challenges? A challenges means like that the resistance. Okay, the problem that you have. Example. Okay, is that key like basically this thing that key um let's right now my brain is actually thinking of a lot of stuff. Okay, yeah. So what is actually the challenging? Okay, yeah. So challenging means like that the resistance, like the things that you want to do and you are kind of like a facing little bit of problem into it. Example, you are drawing. Okay, yeah. Drawing, like a draw. Okay, it's a kind of like a something like creative work. All right, yeah. You haven't really done that creative thing, you haven't really done that drawing that much, and after years you started doing drawing. Why you're doing drawing is because of that you have kind of like a little bit interest about the drawing, so you are kind of like a doing the drawing. Okay, yeah. So while you are kind of like a draw some sort of faces, some sort of object or whatever it is, while you're drawing, the drawing didn't really meet the expectation that you want. Okay, yeah, like basically it became really horrible. Okay, yeah. So this is kind of like a something challenge that you have. Okay, yeah. Like basically this is a kind of like a something challenge. Why this challenge is because of that you don't really have kind of like a something experiment. Okay, you don't really have any kind of like a something experience. So how do you supposed to kind of like a solve that challenges? Is that keep doing your thing. Okay, like keep drawing, keep drawing, keep drawing until you kind of like experience and until you kind of like have information that how do you supposed to draw this thing. When you kind of like a challenge your, when you kind of like a solve your challenge or solve your problems, you kind of like a something create something new, or kind of like a something is that key you will create the opportunity in your creative things that key you could do this thing too. Okay, yeah. Like basically this thing, when you learn something obviously you gonna make mistake. Okay, yeah. When you make mistake you learn something from that. Okay, yeah. So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing, when the challenges came, it has to be happen. Okay, yeah. Like it shouldn't, like basically in your creative process shouldn't supposed to be that fluid and kind of like a something is smooth and something, no. Like basically every creativity has its own challenges, and that challenges is actually overcome by the uh, that challenge is actually overcome by the kind of like a something like continuous growth. When you have that kind of like a set of mindset that you have to do your continuous growth, then it kind of like a something work out. Okay, yeah. But and yeah, but it's like that na ki if you don't really kind of like a something like a face the challenges, then probably you are not improving that much. All right, yeah. So you already understand what is actually the challenges. Okay, yeah. Opportunity you don't really understand that much na. Okay, yeah. So what exactly is this thing, what is exactly the opportunities and how, like how do we supposed to. All right, yeah. I'm gonna talk about like telling my story regarding about that how do I supposed to like whatever the challenge that you have, and it kind of like a something. Okay, yeah, let's jump right into it. All right, yeah. So I am a photographer. Should I say photographer? I well, I'm not really sure. I'm actually uploading photos on the YouTube platform, and I'm not earning any kind of like a something money. I have like a 1,200 subscriber. It's a kind of like a something very shame to say, but that is true. All right, yeah. Whatever. So I am actually uploading photos. All right, yeah. So basically my niche means like that my subject, or like why do people actually subscribe, is that because of that I kind of like a create such a content where how do you supposed to take a creative photo with your mobile phone. All right, yeah. So this kind of like a something like the something like the niche, something like the subject in my channel. All right, yeah. And basically I took every photos according to that subject. Okay, yeah. Like how do we supposed to create photos with your mobile phone, so that means I shouldn't supposed to use DSLR, I have to use mobile phone. All right, yeah. So basically while taking photos with your mobile phone, it has a lot of problem. All right, yeah. What's the problem is that key I didn't really have variable aperture. I have kind of like a something ISO, but is that it didn't really work. By the way, I'm using kind of like a something this kind of like a small phone, which is the name of the phone is a Redmi Note 10. Okay, yeah. And like basically it didn't really cost me that much, but this photo is really not that good for the camera, but I try to figure it out. I try to take the photos as good as possible as it can. All right, yeah. But the problem is that ki, like while I'm taking photos with a mobile phone, it kind of like a hang multiple time. The photo that I want, it didn't really work out, and something like that. But I figure it out. Okay, this kind of like a something problem that I have is not really that much kind of like a compared to the other problem. So I could manage that thing, because entire kind of like a something photo has to be entire kind of like a something base of my channel is focus on how do we supposed to take creative photo with your mobile phone, and that is what I'm doing it. All right, yeah. Another problem is that key, like I don't know how to edit the photos. Yeah, basically is this thing a couple of months ago. Like I don't know how to edit the photos. Like edit the photo means like Photoshop. Like I don't know how to edit the photos, and basically is this thing that I'm kind of like a something like editing photos with the Lightroom and color grading stuff and stuff like that. But I won't be able to change kind of like a something inside the photos, or kind of like a manipulate the photo. I won't be able to do that because I don't know how to do that. Like I don't know how to run the Photoshop and something like that, because it's kind of like a something is this thing a problem for me. Okay, yeah. So is this actually happened almost like a couple of months ago. So I decided that ki, let's kind of like use the Photoshop. Let's learn the Photoshop. Okay, yeah. So while simultaneously I was actually uploading photos, simultaneously I was learning Photoshop, photography. Sorry, Photoshop. How do we supposed to do this thing? How do we supposed to do that thing? All right, yeah. Like I'm not gonna say at this time that I'm bitterly pro, but it's just that I have kind of like a little bit of information that how do we supposed to create a kind of like a something good aesthetic photo. Okay, yeah. Because of that key, like I started learning the Photoshop and kind of like a learn little bit of it. Okay, yeah. Like at the beginning I started removing the background, then kind of like a, just do the photography. Okay, yeah. And it's kind of like a something is this thing when I learned the Photoshop at the beginning, it's kind of like a something is this thing for removing the background, and that's it. Okay, yeah. But when I started doing this thing, I realized that I could do a lot of things about it. Okay, yeah. So there is a lot of like a kind of like a something Photoshop manipulation that you could change the entire photo into something else. Okay, yeah. I just need kind of like a something one photo of myself, and I could change the entire background, like entire aesthetic and something like that. I could create such a aesthetic that don't even exist anymore. Like basically is this thing that I could create a kind of like a something like that I'm actually taking photos on the space. Okay, yeah. With sun, with the planet, with a lot of clouds and dust, and is this thing. Okay, yeah. I could do those things with the Photoshop, with the stock images. All right, yeah. This is what I could do. Because of that I learned Photoshop, and it kind of like a something create new opportunity for me, so that I could take this kind of like a something photo, this kind of like a something photo, this kind of like a something manipulation photo. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is this thing that at the beginning photo editing was kind of like a something challenging for me. But when I kind of like a something learn from it, when I kind of like overcome that challenge, it kind of like a create new opportunity for me. And that opportunity is kind of like something really work for me. Because of that right now I'm taking photos, like I'm editing photos in the Photoshop. It kind of like a something really very different that I didn't really thought about that. Like basically my creativity flourished when I went to the Photoshop, and I could do this thing, I could do that, I could change the aesthetic this way, that way, that way. I realized that there are so many filters, so many editing tools that I have, that I could execute my photos so well that it won't be possible in the real life. Okay, yeah. So this is what I could do. Like basically when you have kind of like a somebody challenge, you learn from that challenge, it create kind of like a somebody opportunity, and that is most essential thing. And this is how I kind of like a something I turn my challenges into the opportunity. All right, yeah. Next question.